Hey, what's up guys? Dave here. Back with another video. I wanted to make a short video on the new Retribution Paladin Talents we're getting in Battle for Azeroth. Uh, as you may or may not know, we are getting a ton of changes. There's a lot to go over, really. So we'll just get right to it. If you take a look, the ones on the left are for Battle for Azeroth, and the ones on the right are the talents we currently have in Legion. So, as you can tell right off the bat, the first row is getting rid of Consecration, adding Zeal, and I believe Zeal is a little bit different now. So, if you look at Zeal over here, it strikes the target 450% physical damage, 2 charges. And it also has it also gives Zeal, which allows you to pretty much AoE with it. The new Zeal is Judgment will grant you Zeal, causing your next 3 auto attacks to attack 50% faster and deal an additional 10% of attack power as holy damage. The only thing I could really see this maybe being used for is if there's something that requires auto attacks to proc something. Other than that, auto attacks don't do a whole lot, and it's probably not worth taking this talent. The other 2 talents, on the other hand, Righteous Verdict, which I believe is a little different. Instead of doing Divine Storm, it doesn't increase Divine Storm's damage at all, and the Templar's Verdict damage has been dropped from 20% in Legion to 15% in BFA. And you now have 6 seconds. So I believe that's the cloak. It's just without Divine Storm added in. So I would call that somewhat of a nerf, but it doesn't mean it's going to be a bad talent to take. It's definitely going to be up against Righteous Verdict and Execution Sentence here. Deliver an Execution Sentence dealing 120% of attack power's holy damage. Your holy damage done against the target is increased by 20% for 12 seconds. So this could actually turn out being very strong. Over here in Legion, a hammer slowly falls from the sky, dealing 2,160% of attack power's holy damage after 7 seconds. It was just something that you required 3 holy power. You would hit it, and it would just drop from the sky slowly, and after 7 seconds, it would hit the target and explode. This one is 3 holy power, but this one seems to be an instant cast. It doesn't look like there's going to be a hammer dropping from the sky anymore. So this just looks instant, and it's gonna, the biggest part is not really the damage that it does itself, but it's gonna increase your damage for 12 seconds. So that could actually be very strong paired with other talents or abilities. Alright, let's get into the next row. So Zeal is out of here, been moved up. Greater Judgment is not in this row anymore. Greater Judgment's pretty much completely changed. The Fires of Justice, I believe this is the same. Yes. Yeah, Fires of Justice is the same. See, now we have Blade of Wrath in the second tier, where it used to be right here. And they got rid of Virtue's Blade. Kept Blade of Wrath, moved it up to the second tier, and I think it's the same as well. This one has 4 procs per minute, so it seems like it's been nerfed just a tad for BFA because it only has 3.5 procs per minute. Although from my experience, I felt like I always got above the approximates. You know, it says 4 per minute, but really most of the time I feel like I was at least getting 4, if not 5 or more, most of the time. Alright, so the last talent and the second tier is Hammer of Wrath. If you've played a Paladin before or played WoW, you would know that this is a talent that Paladins used to have. I'm not exactly sure when they took it out. I would say it was either MOP or WAD. I didn't play Paladin in those two expansions, so I don't totally remember when it was taken out, but they're bringing it back. And um, also, as far as I know, this is not really set in stone. All this stuff is not really set in stone. It's still anything could change between now and August 14th. But most of the stuff is probably not going to. Hammer of Wrath being the exception. There's still a lot of discussion going around Hammer of Wrath. Should it be just an execute? Should it even be a talent? Should we just have it as a skill? And it just be baseline and we get a new talent, like maybe Long Arm of the Law, or you know, some other maybe movement talent or some other damage ability here, because this does seem like it's a DPS tier, so it might not make sense to have a movement speed bonus in here. But I really liked Greater Judgment. I don't see why they couldn't have just given us Hammer of Wrath as an execute and left Greater Judgment in the game as it was. It's a little different now, and some people like it. Well, it seems like a lot of people like it, but alright, let's move on to the next tier we have. This is pretty much our CCs. Most of this, I believe this has been nerfed from... So in Legion, it would reduce the cooldown on your Fist of Justice, or your Hammer of Justice, by 2.5 seconds each time you use the Holy Spender. Now in BFA, it's going to only be by 2 seconds instead of 2.5 per spender. Repentance is exactly the same, I believe. Yep. Blinding Light is the same. 1.5 minute cooldown. 1.5 minute cooldown. Yeah, Blinding Light seems to be the same. Alright, so if we move on to the next tier, this Divine Judgment, this is Greater Judgment in BFA. It's been renamed and redone. Each enemy hit by your Holy Power spenders increase the damage of your next judgment by 15%, stacking up to 15 times. So that could be, if my math is right, 225%. I'm not for sure. Let me know in the comments below. I'm horrible at math. I did not even use a calculator. So that could actually be pretty deadly, depending on what bonuses we get. Say there's Azeroth armor pieces that give bonus damage to judgment. You know, it could end up being pretty good. But I think for the most part, you're going to take either Consecration, which has been changed. It's a 20-second cooldown instead of 12 seconds. So you can't like have a huge uptime on Consecration, but from what I hear, it does more damage to compensate. So I don't know, we'll have to see. I think Wake of Ashes here, which was the artifact trait in Legion, it's now being turned into a talent in Battle for Azeroth because we don't have our legendary weapons anymore. But I think this is going to be probably the go-to talent, especially Mythic Plus dungeons. Demon Undead enemies are stunned still. It pretty much is the same ability as it was in Legion, except there's no dot, and it's 45 seconds instead of 30. So the next tier at level 75 has been changed up from what it was in Legion. In Legion, this is like your this is your heal pretty much, and you did have Eye for an Eye in Legion, and that's kind of defensive, but pretty much that talent tree was either going to be Word of Glory if you were doing anything but PvP pretty much, or maybe Mage Tower, you'll use Justicar's Vengeance. So they've kind of changed it up because there's just no reason to take Eye for an Eye In Raid, I know it does the extra damage, but if you're progressing on fights, Word of Glory is so much better. So much better. Or it was in Legion. Okay, so we have Cavalier, which, guys, Cavalier has been nerfed because I'm pretty sure the old Cavalier is a 45-second charge of 2 charges. The new Cavalier for BFA is 1 minute per charge. I am pretty positive. So our movement is getting even worse. There has been a lot of discussion in all this, and they have said that they're nerfing a lot of the classes movement. So it's not like paladins have been singled out. I know I've heard talk about a lot of classes getting movement nerfs, not just paladin. But man, it still sucks, and we're one of the slowest classes in the game right now. It really sucks, and I was kind of hoping they would do something for it in BFA, but I don't think they're going to. There's still a lot of discussion going on, but I think it might be just a little too late. But who knows? We may see a long arm of the law. We may see a pursuit of justice, or we may seek some completely new mechanic. Who knows? Unbreakable Spirit. So Unbreakable Spirit has pretty much replaced Divine Intervention. So if you look at Divine Intervention over here in Legion, it reduces your Divine Shield cooldown by 20%. In addition, any attack that would kill you instead reduces you to 20% of your health and triggers Divine Shield. It cannot occur when Divine Shield's on cooldown or Forbearance is active. And Unbreakable Spirit reduces the cooldown of your Divine Shield, your Shield of Vengeance, if you're Retribution, and your Lay on Hands by 30%. So this is going to be a really good talent. I really love Divine Intervention because I know I can go into a fight that I don't know and at least survive something and learn and not be dead on the floor. But with Unbreakable Spirit now, it's like gotta be really careful now. I gotta pay a lot more attention. You don't have that leeway anymore. So that kind of sucks. But still, without that, they did make this actually a pretty strong talent. So I'm happy with it. Can't really ask for much more, I guess, out of this talent. So for the last talent in this tier, in the level 75 tier, is Eye for an Eye. It's pretty much the same talent. There's a couple different, or it looks like there might be a different way of calculating the damage that it does. So I'm not exactly sure if that's going to make it do more or less. It could be a buff, it could be a nerf. Still reduces damage by 35%. I would say it's probably going to be about the same talent in BFA as it was in Legion. Okay, for level 90 tiers, this is going to be your healing tier right here, which I think they did a really good job kind of separating out tiers a little more in BFA, like designating specifically what each tier should be. Should it be a CC tier? Should it be a damage tier? Should it be a healing tier? Should it be defensive? And I think they've done a really good job of that now going into BFA. So our first one is Selfless Healer. Judgment reduces a cast time of your next flash of light by 33% and increases its healing done on others by 10%, stacks up to 3 times. Now this is pretty much new. There is a PvP talent currently that makes your Flash of Light instant cast. So I guess that would be kind of similar. I don't know if that's where they got the idea from, but this is a pretty cool thing here. You can increase its healing done by 33%. Or, I'm sorry, 30%. So maybe you could save that up and use it for a specific mechanic. Who knows? You've got Justicar's Vengeance, which still requires 5 holy power. Deals 100% of attack power as holy damage and restores health equal to the damage done. Deals 50% additional damage and healing when used against a stunned target. This has actually been nerfed for sure, because used to in Legion it dealt 100% additional damage and healing used against a stunned target. At 1000% of attack power. So I know there's going to be a stat squish in BFA, but I'm about guaranteeing you right now that this is not going to be anywhere near as strong as it is in Legion. I can see why they nerfed it. Justicar's Vengeance can be just stupid good in PvP in the right hands. Not my hands, of course. I'm a horrible PvPer, but I've definitely seen some that just won't die with that. Then we got Word of Glory as our last healing talent in this tier. It heals the 3 most injured friendly targets within 30 yards for 400% of spell power. So the old one is heal yourself and up to 5 friendly targets within 15 yards for 1200% of spell power with 2 charges and a 1-minute recharge. The new one also keeps 2 charges, 1-minute recharge, but it only does 3 targets, and the spell power has been cut into a third. Once again, just the same thing with Justicar's Vengeance. I know there's a stat squish, and it could be different, but this is another one. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a giant nerf, because Word of Glory was really strong in Legion 2. But I still think it's going to be a relatively strong talent. I think it's going to be more worth taking for a PvE or progression than Justicar's Vengeance is going to be in PvP, because Justicar's Vengeance costs 5 holy power when you could just use Selfless Healer. If you need to heal, just kite and throw your judge out. So we'll see. That'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see this. Alright, so our last tier, our level 100 tier. There's not any new tiers at all. They didn't add any new tiers. We don't have any extra skills added. They're done doing that. They don't want to add any new skills or talent tiers. They just want to keep it where it's at now, and if they need to switch talents or bring in new talents to replace, talents that aren't working later on, they'll do that, but they're not really going to add to the number that we have, the total number that we have right now. So our last tier, 100, starting here with Divine Purpose. I'm pretty sure this is exactly the same. 20% chance to make your next holy spending ability free. 20% chance, yeah, seems to be the same thing. Crusade now. Crusade is a little different. The old Crusade in Legion, increase your damage and haste by 3% for 20 seconds. Each holy power spent during Crusade increases damage and haste by an additional 3% up to 15 stacks. The new Crusade increases your damage done and haste by 3% for 25 seconds. So you can see it lasts longer already. 3%, but you get it for 25 seconds, which makes sense because Crusade and Legion last about 30 seconds, for me a little bit longer, depending on how many relics you have with that trait. But baseline, it's like 28 seconds, because there's 4 tiers to that relic trait that increases Crusade's time by 2 seconds for each level you have, and there's 4 base ones, and then you can start getting relics to add on to that. So having the longer time in BFA will make up for that. Each holy power spent during Crusade increases damage done and haste by an additional 3%, but it only goes up to 10 stacks, guys. Doesn't mean it's going to be bad at all. But it's going to be a different playstyle. Going to make it a little different. Inquisition is another talent that Paladins used to have that they took out. I don't know when it was MOP or mop or wad. But they have brought it back. Consumes up to 3 holy power to increase your damage done and haste by 8%. So increase your damage done and haste by 8%. And it lasts 15 seconds per holy power consumed. Times 3 is 45 seconds. And there is no cooldown. There's no cooldown if you notice. So you can have this up 100% of the time. And I'm thinking of having Inquisition paired with Execution Sentence, maybe. Blade of Wrath, maybe Hammer of Wrath. I'm not totally sure how I like that yet. Because you can use it during Avenging Wrath. So it might make up for not having Crusade. You know, I definitely think I would take Wake of Ashes over Consecration, but once again, we'll just have to see. Divine Judgment could possibly be used in a very specific situation, but overall, just in general, I don't think this is going to be a regular talent. But we could get something like the tier set that increases judgment damage by so much, except it'll be on Azeroth piece, so you never know. There could be something that comes out that completely changes the talents we use or the way we play. I still like Word of Glory. I like Unbreakable Spirit. I like Inquisition. I like Crusade. I like Divine Purpose too. That could possibly end up working out, but I think it's going to be still down to one of these two. So the old 100 was Holy Wrath, which I'm not even sure if I even have ever used that ability at all. I know I've used every ability on here. Yeah, except for Holy Wrath. I've never used it. I've not even tried it. I even tried Divine Hammer and I hated it. Got rid of it. I've tried Execution Sentence. I used to use Execution Sentence in PvP, but after I got geared, Final Verdict seemed to be a whole lot better. Alright guys, that's it for today. If you liked the video, please like, subscribe, leave a comment. Let me know how I'm doing. Let me know what you would like to see. You can check out my Twitter to keep updated. This will be where I'm going to post my videos. Also, it's going to have content throughout the day, just from running around WoW. Yeah, and I thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys next time.